Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Finding Yourself with Kyle Duffy. On this channel, I dive deep into movies and TV shows that I'm passionate for. I give detailed reviews on movies and TV shows that I'm watching, games I'm playing at the moment on the PS5. As well as that, I talk sports, mainly Premier League football, and true crime from time to time as well. If you're new here, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you check out the rest of my videos on my YouTube channel. And if you like what you see, please consider hitting like and subscribe and follow me along my YouTube and podcasting journey. And if you enjoy my videos, I also have a podcast you can check out called Finding Yourself. It's available up on all major podcast platforms. And if you enjoy my podcast, please make sure to follow along on Spotify for weekly notifications of each episode. For today's video, I decided to do a review on Pam Tommy, the Disney Plus show. I wanted to sit down and do this review today because I'm only recently after finishing the finale. I know I'm a bit late to the show, but I kept putting off watching the show for a while. I had 2 episodes left and I started watching it with my fiance and we kind of fell off it. But a couple hours ago, I sat down and I watched the finale of the show. So I said I'd sit down, film the review because it's still fresh in my head. For anyone unaware of the show, Pam and Tommy follows the rocky relationship between Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. It focuses around how the couple met, their relationship, their marriage, and the biggest sex tape scandal to hit Hollywood in recent history. Obviously, for anyone who knows about Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, you'll also know that their sex tape was stolen from them and released to the public without their consent, and this TV show heavily focuses on that aspect of their relationship and how that turmoil and that media pressure eventually made their relationship crumble, as well as their careers to an extent. You know, I talked about this show several times on my podcast when I first started watching it with Leanne, and the one thing that has stayed with me throughout the show is I just feel so sorry for Pam Anderson, because it's very obvious that the man who stole the sex tape, Rand Gauthier, played by Seth Rogen in the show, did it as an act of revenge against Tommy Lee. Rand Gauthier, played by Seth Rogen in the show, is hired as a construction worker to undergo construction on Tommy Lee's new house. When Tommy Lee refuses to pay him and has one of his temper tantrums and humiliates him, Rand decides to steal a safe to make up for the loss of money that he won't get from this job, and in it he finds the sex tape. Still angry at Tommy Lee, decides to release the sex tape online and sell copies for a profit. And at first in the show, you kind of side with Rand with releasing the sex tape because you're solely focused on what an asshole Tommy Lee is in the show. You just hate him. He's so hateable in the show. And at first, you're kind of glad that he's getting his comeuppance. But then you see how much that affected Pam Anderson's career, how much it affected her mentally. I found out in this show that she actually had a miscarriage shortly after she realized the sex tapes were released online and that they had no control over who was looking at the tape. And your sympathy for Pam Anderson from there just snowballs. For the majority of the show, you just feel so sorry for Pam Anderson because she's trying to keep it all together. And at this time in her career, she was just after getting a push to go into film. She had her first debut premiere starring in the lead role of her own film Barbed Wire, and it's very obvious that this tape being in existence in the public domain effectively put an end to Pam Anderson's career push. No one was wanting to book her in any other movies. Barbed Wire flopped at the box office. It wasn't well received by audience members. It didn't give her the kick and the momentum she thought it would, and this show plays on the fact that the tape was forever associated to Pam Anderson. She was always going to be tied to it. When I was watching the show, I had to praise Lily James because she did such a good job as Pam Anderson. You can see the pain on her face in each scene, and you can see the anger boiling up, but she doesn't know how to express it. She doesn't know where she can put it, and she's just kind of sitting with the anger, hoping it dies off and that people become disinterested in the tape. But that never happens. So you can see she's bottling up this energy and this anger, and she wants to throw it in every which direction, but she just feels stuck. And I just really had to praise Lily James for her acting in this role. She was very good. And you can feel that pain portrayed by Lily James as Pam Anderson because it was very real. Because in real life, when this sex tape hit, Pam Anderson was in the process of trying to transition from TV to movies. She was trying to shed her skin and not be associated with Baywatch and being associated with Playboy. She had lofty ambitions for her career. She wanted to climb the ladder in terms of Hollywood and make sure that she was known as one of the biggest actresses in Hollywood. And she had such ambitions, and this sex tape just dashed any hope of that ever happening for her. And you can see her frustration in the final episode of the show, because after Barbed Wire flops, she doesn't give up. She still pushes herself to go out and audition for other movies because she's not ready to give up that fight for her career. But effectively, she sees that the damage has been done. You see in the final episode that she auditions for 2 movies. One is a Mike Myers James Bond spoof movie, which she doesn't take as seriously. She kind of keeps that as her plan B. And she also auditions for LA Confidential, which she holds in high regard, and she sees that as plan A. She needs to get this movie role if she wants to revive her career. And in the final scenes of the episode, she finds out she's been rejected from both movies. In terms of LA Confidential, they go with Kim Basinger, and Mike Myers for his spoof movie goes with a young Elizabeth Hurley, who at the time was an unknown, but as we know from our history, Elizabeth Hurley went on to become a great actress in Hollywood. Obviously, being rejected from both movies hurts her, but you can see being rejected from the Mike Myers movie hurts her more, because she knows in that case that she's been passed up for a newcomer, and this is truly a sign that she's come to realize that her career might be totally over in terms of getting movie roles. The main issue and talking point in this TV show is prevalent in each episode and is tackled in each episode, and that is the right to privacy. Whether you choose to view them as victims or not, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee are definitely victims in this case. They were burglarized in their own home, their safe was stolen, and although at first you don't sympathize with Tommy Lee as a victim, you kind of see him as getting his comeuppance. You kind of see it as vigilante justice at the beginning. But like it or not, Tommy Lee is just as much a victim in this robbery as Pamela Anderson. But because he was the reason they were robbed and his actions were the reason that they were robbed, you blame him. You don't feel as sorry for him because he was the reason it happened. Throughout the show, you feel much sorrier for Pamela Anderson because she had nothing to do with this conflict. Like I said again, she was an innocent bystander. But you have to remember, they're both victims. I thought this show did a great job at displaying the lack of privacy that celebrities get in scandals like these. They have to keep everything together, keep their mental mind space clear, and just try and get on with their career while tackling a big scandal like this. And you saw it in the scenes with Tommy Lee. He got volatile when displayed with any pushback from the tape or anyone confronting him on the tape or saying anything to him, even complimenting him. There was one scene that he was complimented on the size of his dick and he just went insane because he's embarrassed about it. Whereas Pamela Anderson, trying to make sure her career stays intact, goes in with a very PR mind state and kind of plays down the tape and only sticks to topics and issues that she wants to promote in the public eye, such as her movie. You know, there's a scene where she's on Jay Leno and she's talking about Barbed Wire, and Jay Leno quickly steers it into the tape and wants to get her to talk about the tape, and she eventually just says, "Listen, I'm traumatized by this. I feel horrible. I feel like someone's watching my intimate moments with my husband," and kind of scolds him in the middle of this interview, but then has to pull back and make light of it again because she doesn't want to be seen as a bitch or as temperamental in the public eye. And that's very hard to do for someone who's feeling very emotional about something and personally attacked, while at the same time trying to project this image that everything's okay in their life and they're not stressed out about anything. You can see how both Pam and Tommy deal with the issues and the reality of what the sex tape is doing to both their careers, and it's very interesting how each of them handle it. I thought the show did a great job at tackling the lack of privacy celebrities have in cases like these. For my overall rating, I give Pam and Tommy a 3 out of 5. I do think it is worth watching. The only reason I give it a 3 out of 5 is because my interest did fizzle out near the end. There were a few episodes that I did find tedious and boring, but I'd love to know your opinions on this show in the comments below. Hope you all enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please consider hitting like and subscribe and follow me along my YouTube and podcasting journey. And if you enjoy content like this, please consider following my podcast Finding Yourself up on Spotify for weekly episodes. This has been Finding Yourself with Kyle Duffy. Thanks for listening.